Welcome back to the Dad Days, everyone. Today we are making sourdough hamburger buns. Tonight we're making hamburgers for supper. If you want to take them to the next level, instead of buying the store-bought preservative-filled rolls at the grocery store, homemade hamburger buns is what you need to do. Stay tuned. If this is your first time finding me, I'm Josh. I'm a stay-at-home dad. Around here, I do sourdough starter and bread. I also do simple whole food cooking. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. Step one is creating a levain. You actually need to do that 6 to 8 hours before you're going to be making the dough. I already did that. So I will be starting with the dough. If you're interested in learning how to make a starter or something like that, Levain, I have videos about that. Definitely go back and check them out, and I'll link them at the end of this video. Let's start making the dough. I already measured out 90 grams of all-purpose flour. This dough actually has 3 different kinds of flours. So the next thing I'll be adding is 180 grams of bread flour. I always say that weighing your flour is the best and most precise. So I will link a scale in the description. 30 grams of whole wheat flour. I'm going to be using a kamut flour, which is a buttery, yellowy looking flour. It's an ancient grain. I'm just going to mix these flours together quickly. The recipe calls for 120 grams of whole milk and a large egg. I'm going to whisk the egg into the milk just so it incorporates well. Okay, then we pour the liquid into the dry ingredients. Last but not least is the levain, which is 100 grams. You can see how nice and bubbly and stretchy that is. Got to get my scale turned on. Okay. Okay, I'm going to mix all this together until it just comes together, and we'll perform an autolyse. That's just allowing the flour to fully hydrate. It helps develop the gluten and makes the dough easier to work with when you come back to it 30 minutes later. Sometimes you can autolyse up to an hour or so, but I'll do about 30 minutes today. This is about a 65% hydration, so it looks a little dry right now, but it'll look good after the autolyse and once we start kneading the dough. That's what you want it to look like for autolyse. The autolyse for the hamburger buns is done. Now I'm just going to be adding 8 grams of salt, incorporating that, and then I'll transfer it to a stand mixer to incorporate all the butter. I'm just going to fold the butter into the dough and then transfer it into the stand mixer. The butter has been fully incorporated. Now we let it bulk ferment for 4 to 5 hours. During that time, we do about 2 stretch and folds spaced evenly apart. We'll check back after that. Okay, the hamburger buns have been proofing for a few hours. We're going to do a stretch and fold. Dough feels really nice. It's the next morning after the 4 to 5 hour bulk fermentation that happened yesterday. We did 2 stretch and folds during the bulk fermentation. It goes in the fridge, the hamburger buns, and they cold fermented overnight another 8 to 12 hours. So now this morning we divide them up into even sizes and we proof them for a final proof of another 2 to 4 hours before we bake them. If you have any questions regarding all the steps and directions, everything will be in the details below. And you can drop me a comment. I try and answer almost every question. So that's where we're at right now. Let's divide these out. Okay, I'm just gonna put the bread on the scale to see how much the loaf weighs. 653 grams. So I'm going to do the calculation. 653 divided by, let's see what's 608 grams. Maybe we'll go for that, 6, so it's nice size buns. Wow, that's close. I'll leave it at that. Close enough. Close enough. You know what? That one was a little smaller. Close enough. Okay, now we're just going to shape them. I'm just going to flatten them out a little bit and then pretend like I'm just making little sourdough loaves and put the seam down and just make nice little round rolls. So that's the 6 buns. Now they just sit and proof for the final 2 to 4 hours, and then we'll bake them off. Okay, the final proof is done for the hamburger rolls, the 2 to 4 hours. So now I'm just going to brush the top of them with an egg wash. That just helps give them a nice golden brown color. I'm going to bake them at 375 degrees for about 30 minutes, maybe less, because they're not as big as a loaf of bread. So we'll just keep an eye on them, and that's what we're gonna do. So I'll brush the top of them. If you wanted to, now is when you could sprinkle the top with sesame seeds or everything bagel seasoning or anything that you would like. The hamburger buns are done. Let me grab them out of the oven and show you what they look like. Wow, take a look at those. They look good. There we go, there's a close-up. They look good, they sound good. I can't wait to cut one open and see the crumb and taste it. Let's check out the crumb on these sourdough hamburger buns. Wow, looks good. Nice and soft, not too airy. Let's make a burger. Wow. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you give these a try. Let me know in the comments if you do or if you have any questions. As always, stay tuned for more Dad Days.